The amount of returned NVIDIA GPUs is getting to be absolutely ridiculous, and the price is tumbling down faster than I even imagined. There's a particular high-end GPU that it's going for basically half of what it was before. Let's start looking at some of these GPUs. It's crazy the amount that are available and the amount that they've gone down. Of course, your mileage may vary if you don't live near, for example, a micro center. I know a lot of people point that out. If you're in Europe, the situation is going to be different, but even online like Newegg and Amazon, you're going to see these very, very low prices and availability little by little as every single day changes. First, let me give you an example, and this isn't the one that I'm talking about yet, the one that's like a crazy price off. This is going to be a 3090 Strix, the Asus GPU. I remember that if you bought this at MSRP even a few months ago, it was around $22.99 or so, very expensive for a 3090. In fact, around $800 more than what the MSRP should be. If I look now, look at the amount of open box GPUs that are available at the local micro center as well as various ones around the country. This Strix 3090, which is one of the highest end 3090s that you could have gotten during this release, dropped to $1,519 US dollars open box. Typically, the open box GPUs at Micro Center, from my experience, have been pretty much flawless. You can even buy a warranty with them a lot of times. I generally don't, because usually these companies have pretty good warranties themselves, especially if it's like EVGA or something like that. But 1519, that's, you could say, an $800 drop from where it was just a few months ago. Now, there are going to be a few reasons for this. First, of course, the 3090 Ti did come out. Another interesting thing, let's point out the pricing of the 3090 Ti. Some of the high-end models, they didn't start as high as we thought, like $3,000 were the rumors before. As the 3090 came out, the Ti version, they were all basically between $19.99. Priced pretty good is a Windows CD key. Today's video sponsor is going to be VIP-CDKdeals.com. Very simple process. You can get a Windows 10 Pro CD key and remember to use code CC20 for a nice discount. $1,999 US dollars to maybe $2,299 for some of the higher end versions. Really interesting thing you could see here, EVGA actually had 3 different versions of this GPU. They were all for the Win 3, but one was an Ultra, one was just sort of the gaming for the Win 3, and then you had the black version. And basically the only difference is going to be how high out of the box these GPUs are clocked. Most of the time they perform pretty much identically, and now the pricing for all 3, at least at Micro Center, is basically $1,999. That means that the top end model, $2,299, absolutely nobody bought, and they had a lot of these GPUs. I remember seeing 25 plus available. As you can see, the high-end GPUs are taking an absolute beating. I've even seen an Asus TUF open box for around the $1,700 range, and that's a 3090 Ti, which basically just came out very, very recently. That explains why these 3090s are going down really hard. Now, this Strix version isn't even going to be the cheapest. I've seen 3090 for the Win 3 in the low $1,400 range, around $1,415. Now, these GPUs that I'm pointing out now are basically the high end of the market, and it makes sense that they're so cheap. People don't want to spend this much money with a potential RTX 4000 release coming very, very soon. Not to mention, nobody wanted the 3090 Ti at that price anyway, so these are actually very, very terrible values. Where we do want to start to look at, however, is when the pricing gets close to $1,000 or below for the high-end GPUs, and we'll get to some of the more entry-level and budget or the mid-range GPUs as well. The high-end GPUs are the ones that took most beating in terms of being returned, as well as having their prices really, really cut literally in half in many cases. Look at the situation with this Asus TUF, this 3080 Ti. This GPU is being sold for around $1,000, and they have 6 open box. That means that recently 6 people returned this GPU. I remember this GPU being almost $2,000 at one point. It was like $1,899 or even $1,999 depending where you looked. That's the MSRP, by the way. That's not even a scalper pricing. Only the 3080 Ti Strix, which is also available open box for around $1,100 and something dollars, only that was a little bit more expensive. If you think about it, that GPU has basically almost gone down in half. It's around $1,000, which basically it's what people were paying for an RTX 3080 12GB, even now if you were looking for a brand new version. So to see 6 of these open boxes, that's 6 people that can get a 3080 Ti for around $1,000. And even though the market is really bad right now, that's definitely not really such a bad deal if you consider that a lot of people were paying almost that much for like a 6700 XT, or even some of the NVIDIA GPUs like a 3070 Ti was basically around this price just a few months ago. We're not even talking about a year ago. We're talking about at the end of last year and the very beginning of this year. Now, in terms of other GPUs, you will see some 3080s as well open box, and of course the 3070 Ti, you'll see plenty of those, and the pricing seems to be getting very close to the MSRP, especially if it's open box. You can find a lot of them for that low $600 range. As you go lower to maybe a 3060 and 3060 Ti, not as many of these, such as a 6600 XT or a 6700 XT. Those have been really rapidly dropping in price. First, a lot of people sometimes will prefer NVIDIA at these lower price brackets, especially as the pricing gets better, and these traditionally were a little bit too high anyway, especially the 6700 XT. So now that less people are buying, you may even get lucky and find an open box 6600 XT for around that $300 range, or even a 6700 XT close to that $400 range, which makes some pretty good deals for the price if you're basically doing gaming and traditional rasterization without worrying about ray tracing or whatever NVIDIA specific technologies that some of the other GPUs that are a little more expensive may offer. So definitely seeing the amount of returned and open box GPUs, pretty incredible to see these high numbers, but with pricing dropping every single day, every single week by a pretty hefty amount, it's no surprise that people that bought them are basically returning them because it just doesn't make sense anymore. Who knows if the RTX 4000 will come out a little bit earlier. If that does, it's definitely going to probably destroy the market as it is now. For now, I'm not too sure. They may actually delay that if there's too much inventory in stock. Maybe they're just trying to get rid of everything that they had to make room for the new releases. And of course, we always have RDNA 3 and even Intel potentially coming out at some point, even though it seems to be delayed pretty considerably. I would bet it's probably something to do with a very, very rapidly changing GPU market. So hopefully these prices start to enter the lower and mid-range and budget GPUs even more. Those still haven't gone down in pricing nearly as much, but definitely the high-end GPUs that were way too high to begin with, they have taken a mighty tumble. I mean, a 3080 Ti for around $1,000 and an Asus TUF, which is still a pretty high-end model. We're not talking about like a low-end GPU or anything like that. Very impressive that it went down that much in price, but they're still available. People still aren't buying them with those open box prices. So I think it probably has to go down even further if people are going to consider buying those GPUs with something new on the horizon. All right, guys, so let me know what you think. Are you out shopping looking for an open box or a good deal on a GPU? Definitely not the right time to buy a new expensive GPU, but if you can get a good enough deal, it may actually not be a bad idea with some of these deals that we're seeing. Remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.